Hey, Joe here from Home Studio Corner. Got a question about noise. Lewis says, how to deal with noise in your studio, be it from equipment or from outside the studio itself. I've always been impressed by just how little ambient noise can be heard on your tracks, talking about my music. I have the stems from Mission and Fearfully and Wonderfully Made, and there's hardly any, if any, noise of any kind on them. How the heck do you achieve that? And how to use space effectively when space is very limited? So I'm going to talk about the noise issue because that's probably the bigger question that you have there. I think one reason why you don't hear a lot of noise on my tracks, a big part of that is I just don't care. It doesn't make sense, does it? But I don't care if there's noise on a track. There's one of my favorite all-time albums is one by Stephen Curtis Chapman. It's called Beauty Will Rise. And it's a gut-wrenching album. He wrote a bunch of songs after his young daughter was killed in an accident. So terrible situation, heartbreaking. I can't listen to it very much because it's just heavy. But the tones on that record are really interesting because my friend Brent Milligan was the producer. And he told me a lot of that stuff was recorded in locker rooms. Like they're playing like an arena and they've got a few hours before the show, between sound check and the show. So they would set up microphones in like one of the stalls in the locker room, right? And just everybody, hey, be quiet. And you listen to some of those songs on the intros, especially when it's just guitar, and you hear some noise. Whether it's room noise or just hiss from the preamps or whatever, because he's playing softly, it's just there and it just is, and it's wonderful. I think we probably obsess way too much about noise and perfection. I would rather you obsess about getting a great performance that moves you emotionally, even if there's noise all over the place. You know, there's that story of the idea of you were recording Jimi Hendrix and you accidentally recorded the wrong microphone. You recorded a mic that was across the room instead of the mic in front of the amp. You still captured Jimi Hendrix playing something awesome. That's what matters. So I think in some ways I would say it's not really worth troubling yourself over, but I also get there are noises, right? I have, if someone's mowing the grass next door, or it's raining, or kids are screaming upstairs. There's some things that I practically do, like turning the air conditioner off when I'm recording something quiet. So if I'm recording drums, don't care. You can have air conditioner blasting, lawnmower outside, you just won't hear it because drums are so loud they drown all that stuff out. So that's not a problem, even if it's raining, things like that. If I'm recording electric guitar, I don't even usually use headphones. I just crank it up, have the speakers blaring. It doesn't matter. There's a tiny bit of bleed, don't care. I'm just rocking out and having fun. Nothing gets picked up by that. If I'm recording an intimate fingerstyle acoustic guitar, on the other hand, well, then things need to be quiet. One of the ways I do that is by rolling over, one of these big mamma jammas. It's just a big gobo, just a wooden frame on wheels filled with insulation. And I kind of get myself, I have two of those, so I'll kind of get myself in kind of a corner with those around it, and that just kind of makes it feel kind of quiet. That's one thing that I'll do. But the other thing that I'll do is I won't record when the kids are running around upstairs, and I'll turn the air conditioner off when it's time to record, which means it's hot and uncomfortable and I'm sweating everywhere, but the take sounds good, so I'm able to do that. So in situations where it's very intimate and quiet, then I do try to create an intimate and quiet environment. But otherwise, most stuff I do, even if it's just like a strummed acoustic guitar, for the most part, I just don't think about it. I just don't care. I focus on it sounding good, and I turn the air conditioner off, and that's about it. Now, I understand, like, if you're sitting here and your computer's right there and it's got loud fan noise and things like that, those things can come into play. You can do a few things to minimize that. For example, if you look over here, this is my iMac that I use for recording. I've got 3 hard drives running right now. You can't see them because they're actually inside this desk back behind. So if you were to crawl under my desk and look, you'd see these 3 hard drives kind of back behind this gear, and they're fairly loud. If you crawl back there, you'll hear kind of whoosh, but because they're kind of hidden and out of sight, they're not closed so they don't overheat, but they're just, the sound has to go all the way around and come back to me, then that keeps me from having some of that noise problem. But otherwise, it's not something that I do a lot of conscious thinking about. Give it some thought a little bit, and then just move on and make some music. All right?